Assalamu alaikum. So I don't know how to say it in Turkish yet. Maybe next time.
Most Turks will understand.
So I know you're all hungry, but I think before we break the fast, we need to do a little bit of thinking together. And so I will start by saying Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. It's the middle of Ramadan, but still, Ramadan Mubarak. We are about to break bread together, and my friend here will be talking some more about that. This is a blessed moment when we have the opportunity to break bread with each other, and it has a very important significance across the faiths. But as we do that, we need to reflect, as we should in Ramadan, on our lives and our deeds. You know, that's the time we introspect, right? And what better time to be spiritual than the month of Ramadan? So what do we start with when we want to think, especially in light of the kind of iftar that was organized today that crosses cultures? And I would say the ayah that comes to mind, and it's always a good thing that when we're reflecting, we start with an ayah that gives us some direction. And I'm not going to choose one you are not familiar with. You all know the following. I'll read it in Arabic and then in English. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. O humankind. Now, in many translations, you see, O mankind. No, it's not for mankind, it's for the humankind. Indeed, we have created you from male and female and made you into peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of God is the one who is most righteous amongst you. So what's interesting, that continues to be interesting about this verse, is that it's really not directed only to Muslims, right? It says, oh humankind. So it's addressed to everybody, that we need to get to know each other. That's why there is diversity. God could have created us all to look like me or like you with no diversity. But that is not the choice, the divine choice that was made. And the reason for that is because, you know, variety is the spice of life. And we need to enjoy this variety. However, what are we doing with variety in our world? What are we doing with diversity? Are we really enjoying it? Are we communicating across cultures and across religions so that we get to know each other better? I'm afraid that at this time, this year, this iftar, this Ramadan, I really come to the table with a very, very heavy heart. Because not only are we not communicating outside Islam, or maybe we are trying that harder than we are trying to communicate among Muslims. The news have been horrible. I hate to wake up in the morning because I can only, when I turn on the television, I can only see tallies of more deaths. And this faction killing that faction, these people fighting those people, and all, by the way, in the name of Islam. What Islam are these people believing in? What Islam are they following? This is very heartbreaking. We have sort of devised a level of human horror and violence and destruction in the name of our beloved religion that many of us have not even imagined or heard of before. Is it?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, in that case, we all eat.
He's hungry.
But what does the Quran, I mean, we're many of us, when I say we, I mean Muslims with all factions, etc., we're killing each other in the name of Islam. First of all, the ayah I told you, it says not only Muslims cannot kill each other, we are all in this world to communicate. But there is then another ayah, which I'll read it this time in English, and it is Al-Ma'idah, the table that we're going to be eating at. Whoever kills a soul, unless for a soul or for corruption done in the land, it is as if he had slain humanity entirely. And whoever saves one, it's as if we had saved humanity entirely. That is so clear in our religion. How? What kind of jurisprudence is being developed these days in the name of Islam that allows us to kill each other? That allow us to disrespect, for example, our women in terrible ways? That allows us to ignore the next generation of our people, the children, in such ways that they are getting no education, they're refugees, they're separated from their parents. Who are we 20, 30, 40 years from now? And how are we Muslim then? Just tell me, how are we Muslim if we violated, I just mentioned, 2 important verses in the Quran, not to mention the rest. Where is the forgiveness and kindness that comes with Ramadan? We seem only to remember about Ramadan when I watch the news internationally about feeding the poor. So what's the use of feeding them if the next day we're going to kill them? I don't mean to rain on your parade, but we really need to think about these issues. We cannot hide behind our shadow. Like many Muslims, sometimes I feel powerless to fight the juggernaut that is determined to destroy the essence of our religion in very weird ways. To claim that the actions are in the name of Islam, but yet to destroy the essence of Islam in the minds and hearts of people. But it's a mistake to feel powerless. It's a mistake to be defeated by this kind of onslaught. That is what they, whoever they are, would like us to do. I don't even know who they are anymore. I don't think anybody knows. There are so many theories, and we fight about them, right? But I don't care what your analysis is of the situation and who is the bad guy and who's the good guy. And I don't know that yours is right and I'm wrong or vice versa. But you know what? I just will not hate you, nor will I want you to hate me because of political views that have been fed to us by institutions, by governments, by media, where we cannot really check the truth. It has become very hard to know the truth. And yet we are all attaching ourselves like tribes to this position or that position that are being created for us by governments and other institutions, and we, the people, are following like herds. Listen, regardless of your political beliefs, you are my brothers and sisters. That is the spirit of Ramadan. That is what God wants us to be, brothers and sisters. Governments are not holy. They create schisms amongst us. Do not let them succeed. We have been neighbors, and in particular I'm talking about Turks and Arabs. We have been neighbors, friends, relatives for a long history across the centuries. I remember that personally. Our grandfathers have shared their food, their hopes, their pain. And yes, no one is perfect. And I'm sure some of us have mishandled situations vis-a-vis the other. But let us recognize the human condition and realize that in the end, we're all one, as we were at creation, a single soul, which is what this says. We created you from a single soul. Diversity is the spice of life in Islam. Tragedy, which is what we're living now, is a time for reflection. So I'm going to choose two quotes from Jalaluddin al-Rumi, which I think is appropriate for this occasion, who was a great Muslim scholar, Sufi, poet. And let us reflect upon those. I will leave you with these two. He says, dance when you're broken open. We've been broken open. Dance when you're broken open. Dance if you've torn the bandage off. Dance in the middle of the fighting. Dance in your blood. Dance when you're perfectly free. In other words, let us overcome tragedy with moral strength and being upstanding people as God would have wanted us. Here in the U.S., we are free to overcome all the craziness back in the countries of origin. Better yet, let us here in the U.S. provide the balm that will heal. We can start this and we can export it instead of spreading the disease, as sometimes happens. Again, to quote Rumi, and this is, I say it in his tongue to all of us, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Thank you.